What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Commentating Christian YouTube channel, where today we're going to recap match week 10 in the Premier League. Now, for those of you that missed last week's episode, the Premier League recap is a series I'm trying to start here on this Commentating Christian YouTube channel, where basically I'm going to recap what happened in the previous match week, and we separate it between three different categories: the mid-card, other smaller results, and the main event. Now, I go a little bit out of order. I start with the mid-card, and then right before the main event, I talk about other smaller results that happened in the Premier League, and then we move on to the match of the week, or the main event. This series is made for those of you that are too busy to sit down and watch every single game every single week, or even too busy to catch the highlights. Basically, I watch all the highlights for you, recap it, and talk about it in this video. So without further ado, let's see what happened on match day 10. Kicking off with Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest, where the Red Devils looked like they were going to win 5 games in a row, and this guy was finally going to cut his hair, but that 3-game winning streak came to an end at the City Ground. Casemiro actually scored his 3rd Premier League goal of the season and his 2nd in 2 games, while him and Amad Diallo, the other goal scorer of this game, were really Man United's 2 standout performers. Not only did they score the 2 goals in this game for Manchester United, but they also contributed 24 out of Man United's 75 defensive actions in this game. If you guys haven't seen Amad Diallo's goal in particular, please go check it out. It's an absolute beauty. Beautiful volley from just outside the 18-yard box. And then in the dying moments of the game, Murillo would actually save Nottingham Forest from conceding the 3rd goal that would have given the defeat, clear that shot off the line from Amad Diallo to save Nottingham Forest 1 point. Forest are still in the relegation zone at 19th place. Meanwhile, Man United are comfortably mid-table in 8th. Alright, moving on, Arsenal continue their dominance at the top of the Premier League table and have still only conceded 3 goals this Premier League season thus far. They beat Burnley 2-0 thanks to goals from Victor Gyökeres and Declan Rice. Gyökeres now has 4 Premier League goals so far this season, but on top of being the goal scorer for Arsenal this season, his hold-up play was also on display this game, where he laid off really nice chances to his teammates. Arsenal are now 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. Meanwhile, Burnley sit just above the drop zone in 17th. Next up, we have Liverpool, who bounced back after their 4-game drought without a win in the Premier League, as they finally had a win versus Aston Villa. Leading up to this game last week, Liverpool also lost to Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup, so that added more salt to the wounds of Arne Slot and his men. So it was much needed for them to bounce back in this result, which they did. Going into this game, Aston Villa were also on a 4-game run of their own, albeit on a win streak in the Premier League. Now, I must say, Liverpool's finishing in the first 45 minutes of this game was absolutely atrocious. It seemed like nothing was going to go in for Arne Slot and his side, but then in the 4th minute of stoppage time in the first half, Aston Villa goalkeeper Emi Martinez gifted a chance to Mohamed Salah to put Liverpool up 1-0. Liverpool have been on such a bad form lately, such a bad run of bad luck, so I almost feel like something like this was necessary for them to get their mojo back, because previously, absolutely nothing was working for them. Gravenberch then hammered in a shot in the 50th minute to make it 2-0 to seal the victory for Liverpool. Now, despite Liverpool's bad run of form recently, they are somehow still 3rd in the Premier League table, while Aston Villa sit in 11th. Speaking of Aston Villa, Man City suffered a defeat from them last week, but they bounced back this week to beat red-hot AFC Bournemouth. Haaland scored his 12th and 13th Premier League goal of the season, and Americans must be rejoicing, as last week Brendan Aronson scored his 1st Premier League goal of the season for Leeds, and then this week Tyler Adams scores his 1st Premier League goal, not only of the season for AFC Bournemouth, but his 1st goal since 2021. Bournemouth came alive in the second half a little bit, creating a few chances, but Nico O'Reilly sealed the game with a 3rd goal to make it 3-1. Now, as good as Bournemouth have been this season, I think this game definitely showed the gaps in levels between a team like Manchester City and Bournemouth. City still sit in 2nd, 6 points behind Arsenal, while Bournemouth dropped down to 4th. Alright, that was the mid-card bulk of this video. We're now going to move on to other smaller results that happened in the Premier League. Crystal Palace, off their win versus Liverpool midweek in the Carabao Cup, also beat Brentford 2-0 this past match day. Jean-Philippe Mateta scored his 6th Premier League goal of the season for Palace, and the 2nd goal came via the own goal thanks to Nathan Collins. Brighton also beat Leeds 3-0. Summer signing from Inter Miami, Diego Gomez scored 2 in this game, while Danny Welbeck scored the 3rd. Brighton still sit in 10th, meanwhile Leeds are still in 16th. Wolves, who are still yet to find a win in the Premier League so far this season, Ryan Sessegnon, Harry Wilson, and an own goal from Mosquera gave Fulham all 3 points, as Wolves still sit bottom of the Premier League table. Meanwhile, Fulham are in 14th. West Ham also picked up only their 2nd win so far in the Premier League season. 3-1 was the scoreline thanks to goals from Paqueta, Souček, and an own goal from Sven Botman, A lot of own goals this past week in the Premier League. Despite the win, West Ham are still in the relegation zone in 18th. Meanwhile, Newcastle United are currently in 13th. Now this video might be coming out a little late for you guys, and that's because the last result of the section and other smaller results took place on Monday as Sunderland and Everton drew 1-1. Iliman Ndiaye was the goal scorer for Everton in this game. Meanwhile, Granit Xhaka scored for Sunderland. Granit Xhaka, he's been on absolute fire ever since coming back to the Premier League from his stint at Bayer Leverkusen where he won the Bundesliga title. Before Monday, Bournemouth were 4th in the Premier League table, but after this result, Sunderland jump above them in the standings and now currently sit at 4th in the Premier League. Meanwhile, Bournemouth dropped to 5th. And Everton are still in the mid-table zone at 14th. All right, moving on to the main event now, a clash between two top teams from London as Chelsea went away to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and got all 3 points, 1-0 over Tottenham Hotspurs. Chelsea, in what's got to be said, was a pretty dominant performance, 1-0 thanks to a goal from João Pedro in the 34th minute after Moises Caicedo stripped Spurs of the possession, and then eventually the ball was found by João Pedro just outside the 6-yard box and hammered it home. With this win, Chelsea climbed to 7th place in the Premier League table, level on points with Spurs, who are still above them in 6th place, as goal difference is the only reason why Spurs sit above Chelsea. So that was it, you guys, for my Premier League recap of the week. This was Matchday 10. For those of you that have been watching, thank you so much. Consider liking, subscribing, leaving a comment. Make sure you come back to the Commentating Christian YouTube channel next week for the Premier League recap of Matchday 11. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.